You know, I saw some people being upset that Rebecca didn't have like an actual fight with Lyra, but I don't really know what they expected because like Rebecca just started training her ether gear and Lyra is one of the oceans. We've only seen her doing like card tricks so far. So, it's not like Rebecca's been matching her 1v1 and she's already used one of her time reversals at the end of the previous chapter. So here, after she uses her second one, it it goes to show that like she's not yet a fighter. She's just learning how to tactically use her ether gear and its abilities. She's not at the level, obviously, of fighting somebody who's a high-ranking member of a nation's military. It's not nearly the same thing. Whereas like Sylph and Jin are clearly more capable level people to fight members of the oceans. But I did really like the game itself. I thought it was a nice little piece that could show some tension without it just being raw action. And everything going on between Rebecca with her general just like her general handling of the situation was really neat because like when in reality when you look at the fight, it was a cheater versus a cheater. Rebecca was like whole power pretty much to redo turns is a way to cheat her enemy, whereas obviously Lyra just changing her cards is going to be like cheating in of itself. And we did see her do it earlier in the arc before obviously her fight. So her doing it here, like it's something that we've known she's been able to do. But it was cool from Rebecca because she had no way of proving it without cheating herself. So she was willing to take that gamble, and her whole thing of like keeping the five cards. So it's like, well, how do you have the five if if I still have it, and then rip one of the cards to make it look like there's all five of them there. Pretty tricky on her. I thought that was nice, and again, this is like a moment for her more like learning how to tactically use her ether gear and start to gain some battle prowess because she has her whole high speed movement and obviously her guns, but that's not going to compete up with people like the oceans or like people that obviously are at level with like Jin and Sylph. So this was like, at least from what I would say, more of a good learning experience for Rebecca and how she's going to use her ether gear. Because I like people forget. Like I think Y's getting his overdrive already, but like right past the whole pseudo overdrive where they have like the ether lines going off the body. I think that's just made it seem like everyone thinks like the whole cast has gone way faster. But I don't think Rebecca's even close to that so far. I think hers is going to take the longest, obviously, for having like the most OP one in the series. But when Lyra starts to freak out, and then she's mad. Obviously, she's been exposed as cheating too, and I look forward to seeing her fighting capabilities because this has just again been a game. We haven't seen what she's like offensively, like when using her ether gear in combat. And then Callum as well, we've barely even seen. And then Jin versus Callum is like a match that I think everybody was expecting. That's why I was a little weirded out when I thought Shiki was fighting him, when it looked like Shiki was fighting him. It was an odd turn for the character because like to give Shiki that extra match, and then it's like the ones that seemed so obvious to be the match out of all of them. Like again, the match out of all of them that seemed the most obvious was Callum and Jin. And I'm guessing that like Mishima is gonna have some form of connection between them. Like either they've heard of each other, because you have two former mercenaries from different cosmoses. Maybe they've just like heard of each other somewhere wrong along the like the grapevine of mercenary talk. I don't know, whatever their big information network would be. And this matchup's going to be pretty neat. I really want to see what they have to do, like what techniques they have. Because Lyra, we don't know exactly how powerful Lyra is going to be. Because she could just be one of those characters who is more of a kind of like, she uses her powers more like tricky, more as like a caster. I usually just kind of say caster, more like kind of like a ranged wizard kind of in style. Not meant for taking damage, where clearly Callum is designed for taking damage. So if they're gonna have a group fight, I think that it's really going to depend for Jin on Callum to push him into overdrive, because Lyra, unless Lyra can really fight, I don't think that she would really be a match for Jin. Unless, like, again, unless she can fight or her ether gear is actually really busted, if it's really OP. Because Jin so far is definitely one of the more powerful members of the main cast. He's got a very up close and aggressive offensive fighting style. He's mechanically enhanced, and we don't know if he's got overdrive yet. We don't even know what his overdrive is gonna make it, so what he can do. I'm still really hoping he gets like a tornado shuriken or something, just extra ninja-y, but like super emphasis on the wind. Come on, Mishima, I believe in you. But like that's one of those things where it's so I feel like it's super fan fictiony, but I hope so bad that Mishima does that with Jin, because it would be so basically badass without, like, because he could do different weapons with the wind, but I think some form of like really big shuriken as like a base weapon would be so sick. And I love the edit, like, extra design that went on to Wise's overdrive. Like, Mishima added after the, like, because the after the initial leaks came out of like the full raw and the official, between those two releases, he added those like weird back chords or whatever they are to Wise's overdrive. So he's definitely trying to emphasize on like cool uniqueness to them. So something for Jin. Come on, Mishima, I believe you can do it, please. Jin's overdrive has to be like just outright raw cool, because Jin has been coasting on that so well so far, and he has the most cool guy position on the team. He's supposed to be the Gajil of the Eden Zero, so he needs to have at least the coolest looking one out of everybody, like the most badass and neat looking. So I trust Mishima is going to do well in that one. That's going to be a really cool fight, because Callum and Jin are two characters that should be very aggressive, like melee combatants. They were mercenaries, so we should get like a really neat fight like straight out of them. Whereas I'm guessing Lyra and Sylph are gonna be more like kind of like tricky fights. Like they're gonna do more kind of range, like tactical kind of like scheming. Whereas like the two dudes are gonna be way more in each other's faces, throwing punches and trying to just beat the other one down. Callum's power is like really cool though. I really want to see like what exactly the atomic ether gear how it works, how it's utilized, and how exactly he's going to be implementing it in this fight. What's weird is like this is a really short chapter to really talk about, because majority of it was the game that Rebecca was playing with Lyra, and you can really sum it down to, clearly they were cheating. Both of them were cheating. Like, it's not just Lyra was. Rebecca was going in with a cheat move already with her whole reversal power. Like, that in of itself is cheating. Like, she was planning on it. It's still a power thing. You're allowed to use your abilities. But both of them were, like, using, like, pure cheating. A full redo and just outright changing the cards. But theirs was still a fun match. There just wasn't nearly as much to talk about it, because it was really summed down to a couple bullet points, and I looked at it more of Rebecca getting like a good training moment, because I don't think that this was the full display of Lyra. This was like Lyra being playful. So we're gonna see her really in her fight with Sylph, and I look forward to that. I'm hoping Sylph doesn't have overdrive. I do want to put that out there. I'm hoping that like at least her, like Mishima gives her the whole ether lines like leaving the body and not just jumping everybody to overdrive, because that would just be moving things a little bit too quickly. And again, I was questionable with Wise, because I knew that like if like Homura doing was in that realm of like I can understand, and like Homura doing it means that Jin has to be able to do it, because Jin was way closer than anybody but Shiki. Shiki was the only other person that was like as close as him in their ether gear progress. So he should have it since Homura has it, and Wise having it, like, again, was a little bit of a surprise. We know that Rebecca doesn't have it. I don't think Sylph should have it yet. I think Sylph should be able to get it soon, like maybe like in the next arc, but I don't think she should have it yet. Like I still don't agree entirely with the Weiss one. I'm all right with it, but I wish that Mishima waited a little bit longer to that and showed off more of the Arsenal suit. So it's still whatever. It's not a big deal. It's nothing major on the series. It was more of a personal thing. Nothing really to hang on. But with Sylph, I would say I would like him to keep Sylph a little bit drawn back. Because I do also think that some of the oceans can use overdrive. We know they all can't. So maybe Lyra is one of the ones that can't, but Callum can. Callum being way more of like a combat-centered character, it would make sense of why like he would be way more kind of like precise and like well attuned with this ether gear. He's using it way more often in way more serious scenarios, I would imagine, to to fight other people. So similar to Jin, it's probably more of that kind of like experienced under stress and stuff that would have make sense for him to have it as well as training. We'll see though. Jin definitely should have it. Out of the four of them, Jin should definitely have it if Homura has it. I just think that should just absolutely be the case when we saw how close he was during the fight with Shiki before Drac and Joe stepped in. But anyway, other than that though, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this chapter, and tell me your thoughts about what's going on right now in Indian Zero, and what's really like the fight left. Obviously, like Shiki versus Shura. That's probably one of the reasons I was happy Jin came in as well. I want Shiki to be freed up for that match. But that Fabiano guy, he's the only other one really left, right? And the assistant. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video from the like button. Subscribe and check out my other videos. But on that, appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.